Think you know your favorite music legends? Let's put your memory to the test. You'll see a recent photo of a music star, someone who once ruled the charts, and get 5 seconds to guess who it is. Then we reveal them in their prime from a classic music video moment. See how many you can name, keep score, and share it in the comments. Let's get started. That's the master of melancholy himself, Sting, whose tantric abilities became as legendary as his bass lines with the Police. He owns a 1,500-acre estate in England where he produces his own wine, and his yoga practice is so intense that he can hold headstands for 20 minutes while humming Roxanne. He's 73 in 2025. Behold the golden voice himself, Steve Perry, whose departure from Journey was so devastating that fans still petition for his return 40 years later. His vocal warm-ups included singing scales while jogging 5 miles daily, and he can still hit the high notes in Don't Stop Believin' without any studio trickery. He's 76 in 2025. That mysterious smile belongs to Robert Smith of The Cure, whose lipstick collection rivals most department stores and whose hair required 2 cans of aerosol spray per concert. He wrote Just Like Heaven in his pajamas at 4 in the morning and has never performed it the same way twice. In 2025, he's 66. Here's the prog rock architect Tom Schultz of Boston, who built his own recording studio in his basement and spent 6 years perfecting the guitar sound on More Than a Man. He holds multiple engineering patents, and his self-designed amplifiers are still considered the gold standard for arena rock tone. He's 77 in 2025. You're looking at the theatrical genius Boy George, whose makeup routine took 3 hours daily and required a professional artist on tour. His hat collection includes over 400 pieces from around the world, and he once got stuck in a hotel revolving door because his outfit was too elaborate. In 2025, he's 64. That's the bass wizard John Taylor of Duran Duran, whose slap bass technique influenced every new wave musician who followed. He learned to play by copying Chic records note for note and can perform the entire Rio album blindfolded, having rehearsed it over 10,000 times. He's 65 in 2025. Witness the punk poet laureate Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy, whose dual guitar harmonies revolutionized heavy metal and whose bass playing, while singing, defied musical physics. He was Ireland's first black rock star and wrote The Boys Are Back in Town about his childhood friends who never left Dublin. He passed away in 1986. That's the synthesizer prophet Bernard Sumner of New Order, who helped invent electronic dance music by accidentally plugging his guitar into a drum machine. His programming skills are so advanced that DJs still sample his sequences 40 years later, and he's never used the same synthesizer sound twice. He's 69 in 2025. You're seeing the guitar virtuoso Michael Shanker, whose flying-by guitar technique was so distinctive that Gibson created a signature model specifically for his finger positioning. He performed solos while suspended 20 feet above audiences and once played an entire concert with a broken wrist, claiming the pain improved his vibrato. In 2025, he's 70. Here's the keyboard wizard Dennis DeYoung of Styx, whose operatic voice could fill stadiums without amplification, and whose costumes weighed up to 60 pounds during Kilroy Was Here performances. He designed all of Styx's theatrical stage shows himself and can play 17 different instruments, though keyboards remain his weapon of choice. He's 78 in 2025. That sophisticated charm belongs to Roger Hodgson of Supertramp, whose falsetto on Give a Little Bit was recorded in a single take at sunrise because his voice was purest at dawn. He plays 12 instruments and wrote most of Supertramp's hits on a Wurlitzer piano he bought for $50. In 2025, he's 75. Behold the Motor City madman himself, Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead, whose bass was tuned so low it registered on earthquake monitors during live shows. He consumed a bottle of Jack Daniels daily for 40 years and claimed it preserved his voice, and his mutton chop sideburns were insured by Lloyd's of London for £50,000. He passed away in 2015. You're witnessing pure vocal power. That's Jim Kerr of Simple Minds, whose anthemic voice defined stadium rock and whose dance moves influenced every frontman who followed. He married Chrissie Hynde and later Patsy Kensit, proving his taste in strong women matched his taste in soaring melodies. That's the enigmatic mastermind Andy Partridge of XTC, whose songwriting was so prolific, he wrote over 300 unreleased songs that fans trade like rare vinyl records. His stage fright became so severe, he retired from a live performance at 35, yet continued creating some of pop's most innovative arrangements from his home studio. In 2025, he's 72. Here's the rhythm goddess Tina Weymouth of Talking Heads, whose bass lines were so hypnotic they influenced hip-hop producers decades before sampling existed. She and drummer Chris France were married throughout the band's entire career, making them rock's most stable rhythm section, both personally and professionally. She's 75 in 2025. That dangerous swagger belongs to Michael Hutchins of INXS, whose stage presence was so magnetic that security guards needed to form human barriers to protect him from overzealous fans. He dated supermodels and actresses, but claimed his true love was performing live, where his energy could power entire stadiums. He passed away in 1997 when he was 37 years old. You're looking at the guitar innovator Rick Okasc of the Cars, whose skeletal appearance and deadpan delivery made him new wave's most unlikely sex symbol. He produced albums for Weezer and Bad Brains, proving his ear for talent extended far beyond his own band's signature synthesized sound. He passed away in 2019. That's the folk rock troubadour Neil Finn of Crowded House, whose melodies were so perfectly crafted that Paul McCartney called him the best songwriter of his generation. He can write complete songs in 15 minutes and has never recorded a guitar part the same way twice, believing each take should capture a unique emotional moment. He's 67 in 2025. Witness the prog rock drummer extraordinaire Phil Collins. Wait, that's actually Mick Fleetwood, whose thunderous drumming anchored Fleetwood Mac through 5 decades and dozens of lineup changes. His drum kit weighs over 800 pounds and requires a crew of 4 to assemble, yet he can make it sound like whispered conversation or nuclear explosion. In 2025, he's 78. That theatrical presence is Peter Garrett of Midnight Oil, whose 6'4" frame and bald head made him impossible to ignore, while his environmental activism made him impossible to dismiss. He later became Australia's Environment Minister, proving that rock stars can actually change the world through politics. He's 72 in 2025. Here's the guitar architect Carrie Liebermann of Kansas, whose complex compositions required sheet music so intricate that classical musicians struggled to sight-read them. He wrote "Carry On Wayward Son" during a spiritual crisis and claims the guitar solo came to him in a dream about flying over wheat fields. In 2025, he's 75. You're seeing the bass pioneer Stein of Blondie, whose innovative use of reggae rhythms and new wave music influenced everyone from The Police to No Doubt. He battled a rare autoimmune disease that nearly killed him, yet returned to create some of Blondie's most acclaimed later albums. He's 75 in 2025. That smooth sophistication belongs to George Michael, whose voice was so naturally perfect that he rarely needed studio effects, yet his personal struggles made him one of pop's most tragic figures. His careless whisper saxophone solo was played by a session musician, but George hummed every note first to ensure perfect phrasing. He passed away in 2016. Behold the synthesizer sorcerer Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran, whose keyboard arrangements were so futuristic they predicted electronic music trends decades ahead. He's never performed without makeup and owns over 200 vintage synthesizers, each tuned to create sounds that no modern equipment can replicate. He's 63 in 2025. That's the guitar wizard Joe Elliot of Def Leppard, whose voice survived nodes, surgery, and producer interference to become hard rock's most resilient instrument. He sang most of Hysteria while recovering from vocal surgery, using techniques he learned from opera singers to preserve his range. In 2025, he's 66. You're witnessing the power chord prophet Mick Jones of Foreigner, whose guitar riffs were so massive they required custom amplifiers that drew more electricity than some small towns. He wrote "I Want to Know What Love Is" during a bout of insomnia and recorded the demo at 3 in the morning using a broken 4-track recorder. So, how many did you guess right? Let us know your score in the comments. Bonus points if you can name which music videos we pulled these classic shots from. And if you had fun testing your rock knowledge, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow music lovers. More legends coming.